A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen pictures. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine. I feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line before the Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Alrighty, it's us. We're here.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here for another one. It's open bar number 64 now. Yeah, I'm back from London for the Friday Night Tights UK meetup. It was quite the experience. Anytime you get to drink beer and swing swords around in a pub, it's always good. Yeah, no, it's good to be back. And yeah, we are here tonight to talk about some interesting shenanigans that have been going on in the world.
Happenings.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting revelations come out today or past couple of days. So we should get right into it and bring our guests in so we can have a chat about that. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, first up, we have got the man who's going to shed light on this this craziness. It's his Film Threat's own Mr. Chris Gore. Welcome back to the open bar, my friend.
It's good to see a nearly sober drinker. I saw the live stream that looked like Minecraft for a bit, and MauLer making a guest appearance there. But that looks like a good time. I've been to the meetups; they're super fun, and the audience is great and really supportive, and they know how to party. So there you go.
The atmosphere there was great, man. Just awesome. Like, people were just having a great time, and they just refused to leave the bar, which I 100% support. We actually had to get thrown out by the staff because they're like, no, it's illegal now to be here because we're past closing time. So yeah, we just carried on partying in the street for a little while afterwards. It was all good though. But yeah, looking forward to having a chat with you about some of this stuff. I'm going to bring in the rest of our guests. So we have got making his return to the bar. It is the movie Cynic. Are you feeling cynical this evening, sir?
Very much so, especially after the news we got the past couple of days, like you brought up. So, absolutely.
Judging by the sinners here, we got some gory, cynical drinking to be doing. It's going to be the aim tonight.
All of my drinking is cynical
and gory.
Well, sometimes, yeah, when there's swords involved. And also, we have got with us, making his, a journey all the way from EFAP land over to here. It is Metal Commander.
Hello.
Hey, man. Good to have you back on Open Bar, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. I'm excited. It's always a good time.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for doing this.
Sure. I sacrifice sleep for you lads. That's all good. That's all fine.
Sleep's for wimps anyway. It's all
exactly.
Right.
Who needs it?
Yeah. No, we'll try and keep you amused while we're here anyway. But, yeah, I guess we'll just launch right into it. There's been a few interesting articles come out today about Rotten Tomatoes and how reviews are done there. It originally started with an article from Vulture talking about a publicity company called Bunker 15. I can just read you a little bit of the article because it's a very lengthy one. I don't know, like, they really need copy editors to trim them down a little bit. But anyway, I'll give you the highlights here. In 2018, a movie publicity company called Bunker 15 took on a new project, Ophelia, a feminist retelling of Hamlet starring Daisy Ridley. I'm sold already. Yeah, sounds like a blast, man. Critics who had seen early screenings had published 13 reviews. 13 whole reviews. 7 of them negative, which translated to a score of about 46% overall. On Rotten Tomatoes. That's a disappointing outcome for a film with prestige aspirations and no domestic distributor. So that gives it a rotten title, basically, if it's less than 60%. That's when Bunker 15 went to work. Most companies in film PR, they try to get the attention of critics from top publications, but Bunker 15 takes a bottom-up approach, basically recruiting all the dregs of the reviewing pool. So obscure, often self-published critics who are nevertheless part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. And in another break from standard practice, several critics say Bunker 15 pays them a grand total of $50 or something.
Whoa.
Whoa there, guys. We're talking about serious sums of money here.
God damn.
These payments aren't normally disclosed, and Rotten Tomatoes says that it takes a dim view of this. It says it prohibits reviewing based on financial incentive, and I'm sure they enforce that rigorously. But yeah, funnily enough, their efforts paid off, and they were able to get the movie shifted from Rotten to Fresh. Great stuff. But that's the first instance of it happening. It's certainly not been the last, and I guess it opens up a real can of worms of how many other studios and PR companies have been doing this, and how long has it been going on for, and how many movies have been affected by this? Because we've all seen it. We've all seen how Rotten Tomatoes will make exceptions for certain movies that are getting a bad rap. They will change their own reviewing rules. They will disable reviews. They will disable comments, whatever it takes to prop up certain movies. And it really just seems to have exposed the entire reviewing industry, really, on sites like that, aggregator sites, as just an absolute sham. And I can't say I'm surprised by any of it, to be honest, but to actually hear it now, it's for $50, man, to sell your soul for that.
Sell your soul.
Jeez.
Couldn't have been much soul to be sold.
Yeah.
$50.
Like, get $50 to just write some lines. Like, I definitely saw the movie. It was really good.
I like the idea that they would go for the bribe. They were like, how much? And the guy's like, $20. The people like, we'll give you 50.
I could just imagine them meeting with the reviewer, right, and opening a briefcase, and there's just like, a couple of crumpled bills in there. That's all there is. We're willing to give
some chewing gum.
The guy's just immediately like, sold. I'm on board.
Wasn't that a meme in Dodgeball? It was like, have you ever seen $10,000 in this suitcase before? And it's like one pile in the suitcase.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Chris, I guess you've got a bit more knowledge about the whole like reviewing industry and stuff, and just how it operates. I guess it'd be interesting to hear your take on stuff like this.
Well, I've never trusted much the mainstream media, just because, God, I remember when I moved from Detroit to Los Angeles, I'd hear rumors about myself that I was told were facts. And so I'm like, wait a second, people are saying this stuff about me. I mean, it's just like, it's just bizarre how much the mainstream media is a complete farce. In addition to publicists, and I think I've talked about this before, maybe on your stream, about how the publicists try to frame a story, and because journalists are lazy and easily bought, they can kind of give you the talking points. I remember when Star Trek Beyond came out, and they said, "Oh, it's just like a great episode of the original series." In the press release, they said this. And then I recall seeing people writing about it, critics basically parroting exactly that line, which is kind of how they wanted to have people see it. But I read the article, and I actually know the guy they're talking about. He's never offered me money for anything. And our focus is indie film, even though, we write about the big studio movies, and Film Threat as an outlet is on Rotten Tomatoes, but I've never trusted the critic scores. I've always looked at the audience score, or on IMDb, when you see when people vote, those are the things to trust. But critics, it's not even like money. I think they even touch on that in the article about how it's just access. Like, I want to get to go to the world premieres. I will say this, I don't go to those things. And there are certain studios for which I've been banned from Warner Brothers since the 90s. Over an article I did on Batman Returns. Not a joke. So I've been aware of this stuff, but what's weird is I've discovered that this isn't just, this doesn't just apply to film, right? Like, it is, if you're an author who's written a book and you'd like a review of your book, Publishers Weekly, this is available to anyone, can pay $299 to Publishers Weekly and get a review of their book. You should Google this right now, look up this article, how to become a New York Times bestseller. It's not difficult to do if you've got the money. How do you think people become famous who are morons? You are rich, you hire a publicist, and you become famous if that's something that you want to do. So I think this stuff, to me, it's sort of like I don't see what the big story is. I don't know if it's so much Rotten Tomatoes, but lazy entertainment journalists. Because I always look for this is the small movie that no one ever heard about to write about. I remember being in a screening of Reservoir Dogs in the early 90s, and it was like a revelation, not because you remember movies from that era. And the critic from Entertainment Weekly walked out during the ear scene. So this is not a surprise to me. It's also the barter or the exchange or the understanding has less to do with money and more to do with, I'm not going to name names of other YouTubers or other people, but the people who get to go to the world premieres or get to fly all over the world or do those types of things. And there's also, the article fails to even bring up things like, is there a correlation between advertising and marketing dollars spent on a media outlet and the coverage? Even when I was at G4, I can tell you this, let's say, who put out Paramount put out one of the Transformers movies, right? And they would come to me and say, well, Paramount just did a big ad buy for this latest Transformers movie. I know you're going to review it on DVD Tuesday. What's your review? And I said, I fucking hated it. I think it was Transformers 2. And they said, okay, just don't review it this week. Then what they would do is they would do the promotion. Then the following week, I would do my honest review. So there is that weird thing to thread with that. And I'm just surprised that in fact, by the way, the author of that article reached out to me and I responded. What's his name? Lane something. He was originally pitching it to the New Yorker magazine. This is less than a month ago.
Yeah. Lane Brown.
Lane Brown reached out to me, said, I'm writing an article for the New Yorker about Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, oh, I got a lot to say. I reached out here's how to reach me. Here's my phone number. Here's whatever. Never got back to me, and decided to go with low-hanging fruit Vulture. I don't know, not a big fan of that rag, but, and then just chose to focus on one low-level publicist that mainly deals with small movies. I've heard of that movie, the Daisy Ridley one. I think I saw the trailer. I never saw the movie. It looks pretty awful.
Daisy Ridley hasn't exactly done great things since Star Wars, or outside of Star Wars, She even did a movie before Star Wars about some comic book geek involved in the world of comic books that they stopped from releasing it so she could go do Star Wars. It eventually came out after Force Awakens came out. It's a terrible film, but yeah, no, I'm aware of all of this, and it's complicated. It's complicated in the sense that how do you then can you look and are there numbers available of what marketing dollars were spent on a particular media outlet? And I think that movie critics, traditional critics for the mainstream outlets, are virtually irrelevant. In my opinion, I mean, YouTube has replaced it. But I don't know. It's like you said, you can tell the YouTube critics who have, how can I put this, decided to play the game. Right. Play ball with the studios and stuff, and suddenly they just start becoming really safe and given really softball criticisms of movies and just being way more positive than they should be, because if they're not, then they lose their access and they don't get to do all this cool stuff. And yeah, you can tell. But Rotten Tomatoes specifically, it's not just that the fact that PR firms and studios are now essentially buying the opinions of reviewers. Rotten Tomatoes themselves are selective about how they interpret reviews, because as I understand it, every review that goes into their system, they have to decide if it's a positive or a negative review, because not every reviewer gives it a score or anything. They might just write a complex article just giving their thoughts, and then some editor from Rotten Tomatoes has to say, well, this is a fresh or a rotten review. And you can tell when they're just desperately searching for positives to try and bulk up a movie's score, because they will take highly critical reviews that might have a few positive elements to them and say, well, that's a fresh review. They reckon this film's fresh.
Well, I can tell you, Rotten Tomatoes has reached out to me to ask, because sometimes a movie will get a 6, and that's kind of on the bubble, right? So it's a 6 which is just barely fresh. It's just barely. And then the review is very negative. So they'll reach out to me. I'll connect them with the original critic. That's happened more than a few times, actually. So to their credit, they actually will reach out. But I don't know how much, I mean, to me, the audience score is the one, and especially you look at audience, but also look at number of reviews, right? Yeah. It's got to be north of a certain number for it to be quantifiable, to actually be meaningful. So, but I've just dealt with this for so long of like having publicists try to push me, which is like why I just don't like, I don't want to get on the phone. I don't want to be their friend. I don't want to go out to lunch because I know you're just going to try to push something on me or push an agenda. I'm going to, you know, the film review will be assigned to someone who probably likes that genre, if it's documentary, horror, or whatever. I want someone who's an expert in horror to look at a horror film. But, you know, they're kind of in an awkward position. What I blame is the mainstream journalists more than anything for just being lazy and only responding to the current thing, right? Here's the current mainstream big thing you should pay attention to. And I know that like Drinker, I've reached out to you a couple times and said, here's a small movie you might want to like I think I told you about this movie Landscape with Invisible Hand. It opened in like 10 theaters, but it's a freaking awesome science fiction movie. No one's going to know about it. And I don't even know if it got good reviews. I tend to not look at that stuff, but, yeah, it's just I'm surprised that people are surprised. And second, set this aside. So set the book industry aside, set the film industry aside for a second. What just about the news? I mean, I question for a second why there are still people who have Ukraine flags in their bios, that they bought that one. You know what I mean? Like it's like, you think this is applicable only to Rotten Tomatoes. That's nothing. Look at the news and how news, now we are aware. News is manipulated. Certain stories are put out. What's the narrative? It's questioning what the narrative is now something that, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, people didn't get. Now that is a common thing you can bring up in mixed company and people know what you're talking about. So it's a much larger thing. It's too bad this guy got dragged into it because he has represented good films. But he's never given me any money. So, but I never asked for it or cared. So
the advantage I've got, like, because probably like anyone who knows about me in Hollywood fucking hates me. And so like I never get anyone to do anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even in danger of that stuff. Like, so it's fine. Just before we carry on here, some absolute mad lad is sent in a $300 super chat. So I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna read it out here. Orion Stark says, "Drink out, you roguish scoundrel. With the superhero genre played out and Get What Go Broke becoming inescapable, what escapist genre, for example, space opera, steampunk, sword and sandal, etc., do you see filling the void?" Yeah, we talked about this previously. Like, I think the prevailing wisdom on the open bar has been either like we're going to see a return of action movies, sort of just general purpose action flicks of the sort of John Wick mold, or video game adaptations fill in that void. I think probably video game is where I would lean towards because it's such a massive pool of source material. And the video game industry absolutely dwarfs Hollywood at this point. So it seems like that's a massive goldmine of potential right there. And we're at the point now where we can actually make these adaptations good. You know,
there's about 10 billion projects on the way that relate to gaming. So it does make you wonder like how many might skyrocket and encourage further.
Didn't we discuss this like months and months ago? But it's like there's all these like properties that have been low key like bought up and they're in development and just we don't really. It's not been too publicized yet because they're kind of at an early stage. But there's just
we're having
so many
some success, right? Because I even heard that Twisted Metal was not cringe. People enjoyed it.
Yeah. I've heard that.
You know, there's a couple that are just going to start coming out, and there's going to be so many. Like we won't. I was about to say, if everyone was inclined to agree, what was the one before superheroes? Would we agree it was probably zombies?
Yeah,
is that the one?
Yeah, that's what I would go with. Yeah.
Therefore,
it was never as pervasive as superhero.
No, but it had its like selection of years where I remember thinking like, Jesus Christ, everything is zombies. Like there's just zombies in every. I remember when Red Dead Redemption was like got to have a zombie mode. Obviously, Call of Duty had its zombie mode, and nowadays, because these are gaming trends, which are different from film trends, but you have everything as a battle royale. You know, like you got to get it on that now. That's the new mechanical trend or whatever. But yeah, it's really hard to say. You never know what exactly will happen. It just seems that we're all mostly agreed that superheroes have lost their previous prestige and they're heading out. But what will head in?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting, at least, like, for the first time in quite a while. I'm like, oh, okay, like, it feels like there's a bit of a change happening, and I'm interested to see where it goes, because, yeah, I've made no secret of the fact that I'm just kind of done with superhero movies, and it's like, they're just boring now. I think there would have been a lot of potential there to do a lot more interesting stuff if you're willing to branch out a bit and get creative and take risks, but, like, the general, like, the generic kind of... capes and spandex and big CGI fight scenes and you know, the goofy Marvel humor and stuff like that model is just done now. I don't think people are interested in it anymore.
It won't go away entirely. Like, some people are like, well, this movie still made money, this movie still, just like, yeah, but they all were making money. We're not in that position anymore.
Yeah, well, I when I did a breakdown of this, just my previous video, right? We've had 6 major superhero movies out this year. Only 2 of them have been successful so far. Like, only 2 of them have actually made money. Yeah. And we're about to add Aquaman 2 and the Marvels, and that's going to make it 6.
That's
6 massive failures and 2 successes. That is not a sustainable model.
That one just makes the most successful DC movie in history, being Aquaman, right?
It's like a mystery to everyone, right? Like how that happened.
I did talk about this on Twitter, and then everyone just was like, shirtless Jason Momoa. Like, that captured the female audience, and like, you should not underestimate the power of that dude's muscles. And it's like, well, okay, fair enough, but like, he's not in great shape anymore. So, you know, it doesn't really have that pull anymore. And yeah, I can't see this movie doing those kind of numbers or anywhere near.
There's no trailer yet, right? Or has that changed by now? I think it's supposed to come out in 2 months.
All we've had is some behind the scenes footage. That's all we've gotten so far. And this is a movie, like you say, it's meant to be coming out in a few months. Like, I could honestly see this getting bumped to 2024 easily. Particularly because they can't promote it. Like, the cast can't be doing anything to promote it because obviously the strikes. I can see them just pulling the plug and saying, right, nah, we'll release it next year instead. Or perhaps never, and they might just Batgirl it. I don't know. It was probably an expensive movie to make, though.
Yeah, with the Marvels and with Aquaman 2, both of the previous films made over $1 billion. And we're probably going to see back-to-back months of their sequels doing the opposite.
That kind of result would have guaranteed they were getting sequels all the way back then, and then production's been awkward and rocky and bouncing back and forth, and it's finally coming out. And now, as a result of that, so much time, and a lot of people probably like, why are we even making this? Why are we releasing this? It's like, well, the other one made like $1 billion. It's like, this one ain't gonna make $1 billion.
Right. It's not that marketplace anymore. It's like it gives me that feeling of, like, you know, the New Mutants, like that final X-Men movie that just fucking nobody cared about, and it was stuck in post-production for like 3 or 4 years. It feels like that, just like a movie that no one cared about anymore, and it's like a dead cinematic universe. It's like a dead franchise. Kind of where it feels like now. I mean, Marvel's still got a ton of things planned. Don't know how much of it will actually come to fruition.
Hasn't some of it disappeared? Hasn't some of it disappeared from the timeline or something? I think I read something like that.
So
I did look into
shows. Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, so they're not going to be doing, like, they've not cancelled it, but like Ironheart has been shelved, and so is Daredevil. And I think that's probably a good decision overall. I don't want to see Disney Marvel's version of Daredevil. Like, I can't see that.
Nobody did.
Not even after this great preamble in She-Hulk. Wasn't that so great?
The yellow suit, though.
Yeah. The only thing I feel slightly sad about is that, like, Deadpool 3 has been delayed quite heavily. Who knows what's going to come of that? But like, I just can't see it being that great anyway. It'll be worth it just to see Hugh Jackman play Wolverine again, just for the novelty. But yeah, but yeah, man, I feel like there's just no escaping this reality now. Like, financially, like, the numbers don't lie, and superhero movies are not a profitable model anymore because they are expensive to make. Because of course, they all follow that same model of, like, they have to have lots of effects. They have to be all about the spectacle rather than characters or anything crazy like that. And so you know, when you're investing $200 million in a movie, you need it to be successful. You need it to pull in serious money, and they're not anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
the guarantee is gone. The guarantee is gone now. They fucked up so many times. Like, people are catching on. They're like, oh, that's actually really bad out of it.
I think the idea that you could do an obscure superhero and then have that be successful, or an obscure superhero team like The Authority and have it make money, that's gone. That's out the window. But I think the Todd Phillips, you know, model of under 50 million, small story, Joker 2 will probably do very well and be profitable. Will it make $1 billion? Probably not. But
it's a musical, isn't it?
Right. But it's modeled after Martin Scorsese's New York, New York. And it's interesting because Todd Phillips modeled Joker partly after Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, which I love both of those films. But if you look at New York, New York, it's the weirdest musical ever with Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli. I'm fairly certain that's kind of what he's going for. And it'll just be weird and surreal from the mind of Harley Quinn and Joaquin Phoenix doing that role again. And who knows where it's going to go, but it's going to be made on the cheap. I mean, that's how Todd Phillips, you know, came into prominence as a filmmaker. Hangover was like sort of a fluke, like that the movie was such a hit. It resulted in 2 terrible sequels, but they all did very well. So that's where I expect things to go.
I'm definitely open to this idea of like Joker 2 being this crazy experimental, like something completely different from the norm.
Right.
Fine, yeah, sure, give it a go. I'm not convinced that it's not gonna resonate the same way the original did, because the original was like a fairly straight up movie. It was a dramatic thriller essentially that didn't really have any superhero elements to it. And it was sold on the performance of Joaquin Phoenix and like how it was really grounded and gritty and just like an interesting story. That novelty value isn't going to be there this time. You've got Lady Gaga being in it. Like, oh man, there's just everything I hear about it just makes me think I can't see how this is going to capture that same audience. I could be totally wrong, and I'd be happy if I was wrong on this one because I would kind of like to see it do well. But man, I never felt like Joker needed a sequel in the first place. Like it felt like a complete self-contained story in its own right. I just didn't really see where they could go with it. Like, again, could be wrong, could be totally wrong here.
But I trust Todd Phillips just because of his indie film roots and he started the New York Underground Film Festival. He made a documentary that was at Sundance that then was quickly banned, which you can find on YouTube. It's look it up. It's called Frat House. And it follows a frat house through hazing season, and it's freaking dark. And he didn't get the rights. He didn't get clearances from all the rich kids that were in the movie, but you can find it on YouTube. But no, I like Todd Phillips. I think he'll do a great job with it. And he's the kind of filmmaker like Christopher Nolan. I'm interested in what he's doing. May not like everything, but interested. And I feel like he looks on this as something of a challenge. It's too bad those other we didn't need 2 other Hangover movies either.
No.
But the fact that this is going to be more on the level of a musical like New York, New York by Scorsese, that has me interested.
The other thing that I've kind of been noticing today, Disney's share price isn't looking great. It's dipped below $80 a share today, which is kind of unheard of. That's like a 10-year low or something. I'm just going to actually bring it up. If I take a look at their share prices, so yeah, I can view the past 5 years so far. It was at an all-time high of $189.99. That was in March 2021. It's now, so basically $200 a share. It's now currently sitting at 80.57 right now as of close of trading today, but it was below $80 a share. That is not a company which is doing well right now.
No.
And if I don't know, man, if I was a shareholder, I'd probably want to get out from it.
It's often how it goes, right? A lot of people leave, and then that encourages people to leave, and then that encourages people to leave. So.
Yeah.
I mean, if you keep producing stuff that just keeps not making money for you, the stock is going to be like, thank you for the good times, but is not looking very good. I'm gonna leave now. So yeah,
Well,
now it's gonna hurt in their wallets. So hopefully
Yeah.
they're gonna pick up the pace and write some stories and characters.
I think the whole like buying and selling of shares with companies, like it always comes in peaks and troughs, and so some people would see it as an opportunity. Like when the share price like crashes, it's like, well, okay, we can buy it up when it's super cheap and like it's probably going to rise at some point. But with them at the moment, I just don't see anything that could turn it around for them. They've got nothing really coming up that they can be particularly excited about, like film wise, that's going to boost their profits. They are facing this Hulu buyout that they have to honor. So when they bought Fox, they bought a share of Hulu, and part of their stipulations there was that they had to purchase the remainder of that, which is more capital than they actually even have access to. And so they essentially don't have money to make this mandatory purchase that they have to do contractually. And so that's going to come into effect in the new year. Unless I'm missing something, they kind of seem a bit screwed financially. I just don't know how they dig themselves out of this hole.
And I heard rumors too, just yesterday about like Bob Iger wanting to hold on to being CEO as long as possible and then like sell off to Disney, which I think I actually said like 2 months ago in my Death of Disney video, was that those rumors swirl like every quarter, it seems. But seems like that's getting more and more intense. And also the rumors too that he just wants to sell off like bits and parts.
Well, they've taken down ESPN, haven't they? So that's now going to be part of a separate subscription service. It was part of Disney Plus, which I don't know, man. Like at a time when the economy is kind of in trouble and people's cost of living is rising and rising, to then say like, well, we're going to now charge you more for giving you less. And now if you want ESPN, you want to watch your sports, you have to now pay a separate fee for that. I don't know how many people are supposed to go along with that. That's bound to piss off a lot of people.
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not a fan of getting less for more. That's
yeah. I
guess that goes for everybody. I don't think anybody's going like, wow, I get to pay more to get less. Hell yeah, I'm going to get another subscription now. Like.
And I guess there's only so many things you can either spin off or sell off or roll into different subscription services before you just run out of assets. You know, we talked before about like, well, could they potentially like sell off Lucasfilm, you know, to generate a bit of revenue? I don't know how much it's even worth at this point.
Yeah. Aren't they also just getting rid of other Disney Plus productions that is on their own streaming service? It's been a huge because also doing that. Like why?
They can do that as a tax write-down. So if you say, I don't know, say you spent like $50 million making Willow.
Yeah.
Pretty sick if I had, but yeah.
Why the fuck would anyone do that?
So they probably spent more than that. That's the terrifying reality. But like, say they did. Okay, you spent $50 million on it. You've got it on your streaming service. It's there. It costs money because you have to pay residuals to all the people who are involved in it. But if you take it down off your streaming service and it's not getting broadcast anywhere and it's not available on physical media, you can then say, well, okay, that's now a failed project technically because we're not making any profit out of it. And so from a tax point of view, you can claim that as a loss. And so you essentially get some of that money back. I mean, you still, you know, it's not as good as it being a massive success, but it allows you to mitigate some of your losses. And it's actually better to do that than to keep it out there and keep showing it. Same reason Warner Brothers shit canned Batgirl, because it was easier to take the tax write down on that and get some of your money back than have to put it out there and then lose even more. So there's a certain logic to it, but yeah, man, imagine if you were one of the people who worked on this thing, like you spent months or even years making this thing happen, and now it's like essentially been wiped from existence and it's just gone forever now.
I hope someone stole like a USB drive with the movie on it and just puts it on the internet in the future. It's like it's the forbidden movie. Like you can't get it, but if it's out there, like people are gonna grab it and want to see it.
Yeah, like the Fantastic Four film, the Roger Corman one.
Oh yeah.
You can find a Blu-ray of it, and it was always sold at conventions, bootleg for years. And you can see that there was no budget for that thing. I mean, it was bad, but it's the most accurate Fantastic Four interpretation, at least of the, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee first 100 issues of the Fantastic Four, which is kind of sad in retrospect that the best movie might be the one with the least budget, because the new Fantastic Four, they've been threatening to make that for years. And the fact that they pushed it, and it's going to get pushed again. I mean, are we ever going to see the Kang Dynasty? We're certainly going to see the Jonathan Majors. So. What's that?
Sure hope so.
Yeah. Kang.
Yeah, well, your Ant-Man epic thing. Oh my God, MauLer. Jeez. It's like a mini documentary. It's a documentary series. But he's going to trial, right? Jonathan Majors that's going to trial in October.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, will he end up still play that character? Will he still play it? I mean, he's in Loki season 2, right?
I don't know, actually, is he?
I don't know.
I've not seen any casting. I've not seen the casting information for it, but yeah, I mean, I think with the negative publicity around him, particularly what he's accused of, it's really tough for a company like Marvel or Disney to stand by him, I guess, because of what what their ethos is. And so, I guess they're just trying to ride it out. They're going to wait to see how the case goes and what we get from him. But the nature of his character, I guess, makes it quite easy to replace him with someone else. Like, he's a multiversal being or whatever. So
yeah,
you can probably recast him quite easily.
Yeah, probably makes the after credits scene a bit awkward with millions of him. None of them show up.
I wouldn't be surprised if they re-edit that and it's like whatever actor they pick to recast, it's like they'll just CGI his face into that scene or something.
Oh, that poor VFX artist that gets that scene back. It's like, you need to edit this more now with different faces. It's just like, no.
They'll let him just use TikTok filters or something. They just can't be asked anymore. It's like, fuck you.
But yeah, I mean, the share price there for Disney, it'll be interesting to see what the trading's like over the next couple of days and see how far it can actually drop, because I don't know, man, like at a certain point do people just automatically start bailing on it and dropping their shares to try and get out before the whole ship goes down? I'm not sure.
They gotta pitch something to them. Go like, hey, we're gonna stop with the sludge pipe. We actually gonna do quality now instead of quantity, because man, those last years, they're just pumping out the sludge and it just gets worse and worse. It's just, it's so painful.
Yep. What was I going to say there? It's going to make for a fascinating case study for people who are into business management and so on, how you can tank one of the most successful and well known and respected brands in all of entertainment. How you can turn it into this disaster. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's impressive if nothing else, because they a few years ago they had everything in their favor and they seem to have just absolutely tanked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the Centennial as well.
Well, Snow White is coming to save the company.
Sure.
I expect that's gonna go direct to Disney Plus if anyone was making decisions that was smart. But it's funny because
so many of them are like, is it too late? Can we
right. Now it's just morbid curiosity about how are they going to make the 7 magical Portland baristas. I think that's how Gary refers to them. How to make that even work as a concept. It's just so ridiculous.
I think because there had been some rumors swirling around over the past few days, and I think they've been debunked, but they were suggesting that Disney might actually cancel Snow White altogether, just because there's such negativity around it. And again, just take the tax rate down and cut their losses on it, because the PR around this film is about as toxic as it can possibly be. I've never seen a backlash like this. There, you know, there's been a few rumblings around things like Little Mermaid and stuff, but like nothing of this scale. And yeah, I think Rachel Zegler has somehow made herself into like the most disliked person in Hollywood right now.
This is talking mad shit all the time. Like even I've seen that. I wasn't even following.
She stole the.
There was like a montage of her like on Instagram, and it's just like her going like this, like in every picture, and
charming.
Yeah, well, I think Chrissy Meyer had posted about this on Twitter, and she was like, I don't know, like sometimes women just feel like they have to do this. They have to put on this facade of being tough. And you know, it's usually like an insecurity thing, like, oh, I'm trying to puff myself up and look tougher than I am so that people, you know, don't come after me. You know, it's like a preemptive strike or something. Maybe that's a little bit of what it is, but man, I just, the more you see of her, like the less likable she seems, you know. And I would have liked to have like given her the benefit of the doubt when some of these interview stuff came out initially, because I was of the mindset of like, well, she's only like 22, 23. She's not experienced in the world of media, and
right,
you know, sometimes at that age you just say stupid things because you're full of like excitement and enthusiasm, and you're probably a bit full of yourself. But yeah, this is a long-running thing. It seems like that's just her actual personality. It wasn't just like a badly timed interview or anything. So yeah, I don't know, man. I can't see where they could go with this film from a promotion point of view, from a PR point of view. How can you pull this one back?
That's funny, because if someone asked me like, oh, what did you hear about the Snow White movie that's coming? It's like, oh, I seen the terrible screenshot with like some people that don't look like dwarves at all. Mm-hmm. And the main actress is talking mad shit all the time, and I don't want to see that movie ever, really, because goddamn.
It's a bad starting place anyways. Nobody wants to see a fucking modern remake of Snow White. Yeah. Why would you even do that? I watched the original recently. It's such a wonderful movie. The idea that like, let's remake it with people. You're like, yeah, maybe not.
Also,
maybe
we hate the original one. Sucks ass. Like, no, why would you say that?
I think the sensibilities of mismogymies.
Because honestly, like, we should write a guide, right? How to do a remake of something that people love. Okay, like step 1, respect the original. Like, just don't disparage the original. That's your fundamental building block of how you move forward.
That's apparently what the One Piece live-action remake is doing right now, and people seem to be pretty happy with that.
God, it's so crazy, isn't it? Like that's the key fact you hear about, is that they're like, oh, they didn't shit and piss on everything.
It doesn't make me want to.
Well, I mean,
die.
Do you remember all the sequels that they made in the 90s to the classic animated Disney classic animated films? They made Bambi 2. Like, as that's when they had the VHS plant. Yeah, that all happened. So they've always looked for ways to kind of milk, you know, their idyllic past. And the lack of respect from Zegler is just, she's like the new Brie Larson, although Brie Larson's been pretty quiet lately.
Yeah, like it's like she knows.
Yeah. It's not likable.
Well, honestly, yeah, it's like I can just be quiet now, right?
Brie Larson like texts Rachel saying, "You should talk more. You should do more."
Yeah,
maybe I get some roles.
Really,
like, talk more.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I mean, you know, I guess like sometimes actresses or actors can turn it around, and like, you know, I wouldn't want to shit on Brie Larson, like if she actually just like chilled the fuck out now, like because there was that really cool moment at I think it was the Cannes Film Festival, where like some reporter had asked her like, oh, what do you think about Johnny Depp being here, you know, in light of the trial and everything? And her response was just like, why are you asking me specifically? It's like, what, you're trying to get some gotcha out of me or something? It's like, I'm not playing that game.
Well, if the world was more honest, he'd be like, yes, please say something crazy and embarrassing.
Yeah, and like I kind of respected her for just having the common sense to be like, no, I'm not getting involved in this. Like,
that's why I don't really take a lot of stupid things that actors say very seriously, because for the most part, one, they're very vapid and empty vessels who parrot things that they hear so they can give the appearance of being intelligent. We're talking about people who take someone else's words and make them sound meaningful, right? Actors, or as some directors refer to them, meat puppets. But, you know, like a lot of them, a lot of them I look at like stupid things that actors say, and a lot of the time they're just trying to please the person that is sitting across from them. What would you like me to say to make so that you can like me? I want you to like me, right? I mean, think about it. So when I see these, I like to see what was said before the person said something stupid, because it's usually they're being set up. Because I see a lot of the people who actually do get access to bigger celebrities, whether it's red carpet, which to me, I did some red carpet stuff when I was at G4. And to me, doing a red carpet is like the cleaning toilets of entertainment journalism. It's just the last thing that you ever want to be doing, right? So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but Zegler has been consistent in her, I'm trying to think of the right word. I mean, cunt. But cunt is a different meaning in the British sense, right? Like,
it's more of a chill word over in Britain.
Yeah. You can call me a cunt.
Like if you're in Australia, it's just part of the vernacular, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like saying hello.
Yeah. Cunt.
Yeah. These actors, they're just trying to please whoever's in front of them, say things, repeat things, and then they're insufferable people like Mark Ruffalo and Mark Hamill, unfortunately. You know?
Oh man.
That one's heartbreaking.
I followed him for a little while after like The Last Jedi, because I was like, I just want to support him and stuff and hear what he's got to say, and thinking it was going to be like, nice, charming Star Wars anecdotes and stuff, and it was just non-stop political ranting about stuff. It's like, okay, we get it, Mark. You really hate Donald Trump or whatever. Like, you've proven it now. You don't have to tell us every single day. But yeah, stuff like that. Like, I think that there's with a lot of these actors, like there's one, like you say, they want to just say whatever they think the interviewer wants to hear. And two, they just want to say whatever they think the audience wants to hear, like whatever seems to be popular at the moment. And they'll parrot that. Because I got that real feeling from Gal Gadot when she was talking about Snow White. Every so often, like on the red carpet interviews, she would be chiming in like, she's not going to be saved by the prince. Yeah, okay.
She was like Zegler's hype man.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, applaud her.
About Brie, by the way, I feel like when she's maybe 10 years from now or something, she's going to say that joining Marvel was like the worst career choice that she had.
Bingo.
It made a lot of sense at the time after the Oscar, but it was not fucking worth it, and that she should have pursued more artistic sort of integrity roles. Kind of like how Oscar Isaac and Adam Driver are escaping that brief infection of Star Wars. They're like, no, back to real movies.
I mean, Adam Driver escaped it to do 65, which
and then not everything is a banger, drinker, all right?
Oscar Isaac escaped it to do fucking Moon Knight.
Okay, that's true. I don't know why
Disney property to another.
Yeah, because they're doing a Moon Knight season 2, right? So he's probably going to keep going.
And
on
then
that.
the Egyptian hero is going to get her own spin-off because, of course.
I think the thing is that they kept doors open, whereas Brie seemed to go like hardcore into Marvel, and I don't think it was worthwhile at all. Especially with this new movie's probably going to flop, and then they'll be talking to her about how Captain Marvel's not going to show up for a few movies. If that's all right, we'll call you. We're going to call you.
I mean, there's that famous interview with her on some red carpet where she's asked, what you're going to do after this movie, and she was like, I don't know. Does anyone want me to play Captain Marvel again? I don't know.
Nope.
Like, and she made it awkward as fuck. But like,
bye.
It was very much like, okay, I'm very aware that this character is not well received, and to be honest, I'm not into it anymore. I don't want to do this. It's not worth it. It's not worth the hassle.
Well,
and
it sounded like I was sort of memeing there, but like I mean it seriously. If I was able to speak to her, I'd be like, don't play Captain Marvel anymore. It's a waste of your fucking time. I'm one of the few people who I don't even know if any of you four have seen Room, but she's capable of a hell of a lot more than what Captain Marvel gives her, and it's just like, yeah, find something better.
Yeah,
I've seen Room. She's very good in that. Yeah.
Just before I go on here, I just wanted to read out another super chat that came in. This was from Rob Robinson for John, who spoke to us earlier. He says, John, I was at the end of my rope 10 years ago, lost my family and my marriage, living on 5 packs of ramen a week and taking care of my kids. My story, but trust me, I was there. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I wish you well. Keep up the good fight. Love you and God bless.
Absolutely.
One of my one of my mods is talking to this guy, and I've said to him to let him know, like, I will talk to him after this stream is done. So once we're off air, I can come and talk to him if he wants to. But yeah, hopefully we can have a chat and yeah, stop him from doing anything. But yeah, what we were talking about there.
Brie Larson, better career decisions.
Yeah, right. Don't do any more Captain Marvel, Brie. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, I guess every actor eventually moves past roles like this, and takes on other stuff. She's obviously got a place in like the Fast and the Furious franchise now, so that will be another couple of movies for her. I imagine her character will still be around. So
yeah, can't wait
there's
for
that
final Fast Furious. It's going to be great.
That's not going to be the final one. There'll be like
one or
5
something.
more.
I don't know.
Fast 10 Part 4.
The fastening.
It will never stop. I was going to talk to you guys as well about, like, episode 4 of Ahsoka.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
Here we are.
Great. I got to go soon too. So perfect. I'm glad you guys are
Chris is like, well,
You're a lucky
guess
man.
Chris, well, I guess I wanted to, before we launch into it, like, I don't know if you've got time to talk about it a little, or if you want to. Yeah, okay.
briefly
yeah,
before
let me know.
I got a meeting in like 5 minutes, but I actually enjoyed aspects of the episode. It's as if someone remembered how to edit Star Wars and how to direct Star Wars, pieces of it. And Ray Stevenson is amazing. He's so good. I mean, he's really good in RRR, which I know you've seen, Drinker,
Yes.
where he plays Governor Scott. He's so good. But yeah, he is fantastic. He's the gravitas in the episodes, the most we've seen him. It is the best episode of the show, but one of the things they did from an editing standpoint was something is happening and they cut away before you see the end of that thing happening to another thing happening that you're also engaged in. And I found that I actually cared I actually cared about what happened, and it felt like they were stakes. Now, were there problems? A whole lot, but it's a different director. The director who directed the episode is one of the directors of Spider-Verse. So the first Spider-Verse movie, I think, which explains maybe why this was just a bit better. But the one direction that George Lucas is notorious for giving on the set of Star Wars was faster, more intense. And it feels like he may have said that a few times during this. And I thought I liked the idea of, I don't know who said it, might have been Az, who mentioned the Ahsoka, what's his name, Balin Skoll standoff was like a knight with a samurai, so they have different fighting styles. And so I found things to enjoy in an otherwise forgettable first 3 episodes. So that's my thumbnail of my thoughts. That but one good episode is not gonna save a show. And it is sort of surprising because normally with these things, they start off kind of interesting and then just, they just take a crap. And that's is the same for Marvel and Star Wars. Like, oh, there's something promising here, and now I don't care. So the fact that, like, in episode 4, something happens, although this nonsense with Anakin, if they're going to do the world between worlds, I don't know. Like, first of all, I never watched it. I don't understand. Is there time travel? Is Anakin going back? Like, I saw it as like something happening in her head, like in Rise of Skywalker, which I saw all of once. The dumb scene where Kylo Ren is brought back from the dead and then has a vision of his father and has a reconciliation, a completely emotionless scene, which was terrible. But so is this all in Ahsoka's head? I don't know. And I don't know that I'm invested enough to care about that, but at least I care about it. Feels like there's stakes. But my prediction is they're going to introduce Thrawn and that's it. They're not going to wrap up. Here's Thrawn and we're going to defeat him. It's just a setup for a movie that they're supposed to make, right? Isn't that what this all is?
I think there is going to be a movie that kind of wraps up the Mandoverse. So that was one of the 3 that they announced.
The Mandoverse.
That's where we're at now. But yeah, just before we get into the weeds, I know, Chris, you were pretty much out of time,
I gotta go, but I'm surprised that I found things to enjoy. So take that, MauLer.
Don't worry, I'll take care of this once you gone.
I was gonna say, once I leave.
So as soon as you're out, it's like, God, man, Chris was full of shit on this one.
I mean, like, it's when the bar is so low, the fact that there were things that I enjoyed, but I still think it's a mistake to not chop limbs off in Disney Star Wars. Had Sabine lost 2 legs and an arm, and then came back, do you realize it just would have meant, first of all, you would have liked her more. It just would have been more interesting, right? Like,
I'd love it if she would have come back and won a fight with just like 1 limb.
right.
On the ground, like, I can still take you.
Well, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's a great scene that is like that. Anyways, thank you, gentlemen. Always great to chat with you. So subscribe to Film Threat and see you soon.
Thank you, man. And yeah, the link to Film Threat is in the description. So please, if you're not subscribed to them already, give them a follow.
Cool.
Do awesome work. Thanks,
Take care, everyone.
Get you on, dude.
Movie Cynic and Metal Commander and MauLer. Love you.
Of course.
Appreciate it, man. Now that Chris is gone, we can really talk about the show. I think I'm on this. I'm the flip side of that perspective on this episode, because I think what he was saying is that it was basically good with a few issues, whereas I'm like, it was basically still rubbish, but with a few good bits here and there.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it's
seems the primary compliment everyone has is Ray Stevenson, by the way. Rest in peace, of course.
I think he's pretty much the best thing in the episode. And it's pretty much like the tagline for it, honestly, should have just been episode 4, something happens. That's
finally something happens. It's the mid-season, so yeah, of course.
I said to you, MauLer, before we started this stream, right, I had a few questions about this.
Go for it.
And I'll just pose them to you now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan has been in possession of the star map bullshit thingy that lets them go to the other galaxy, right? It tells them exactly how to go there. But
either in possession or she was simply aware of where it was stored.
Well, I mean, she had it, like, because they all went to the one day like planet with the temple thing, and then put the ball into the socket, and it showed them the star map. But then she waited until Ahsoka and Sabine had landed on the planet before she started doing the download thing to get the navigation information that they needed. Like, she's had this for hours, if not days. Why didn't she just do this ages ago? Why did she wait until now to start doing it?
So it's funny, when we were watching it, I was like yelling at her for not leaving yet. And I think Theo, who's watching it with us, was like, "Oh, well, you know, they were getting that last hyperdrive in stages of completion, or whatever." And I was like,
"You can still download the information. You don't need
exactly like the coordinates. You know, that's a different thing to installing a hyperdrive. You don't need to do those separately. So yeah, all of this episode shouldn't even have happened for many reasons, but that's a major one. Is that the coordinates should have been done already." We get a classic, like the bad guys go in waves. They don't just all attack at once and kill the fuck out of everybody for some reason.
Also, don't orbital strike them when they know where they exactly are. Just get some fucking cruisers or spaceships or whatever you have, and just blast them.
Yeah.
Why didn't because they find the ship where it's like grounded because it's needing repairs and stuff. Like what's the droids at Huye or something?
Hu Yang,
that's it. Yeah. So he's like outside making repairs, and like these other droids are like circling around it. Why don't
tries to stealth punch him?
Why don't they just activate their self destructs and blow the whole place up?
Because that would work.
Yeah, that would work. Why don't they shoot him with blasters instead of punching him? I've never seen something so retarded in well, at least a week on Star Wars, where you've got 2 droids who can't feel pain punching each other. What do you think you're going to do?
I don't know what that was. That was a weird and he covers Hu Yang's mouth. He is a droid, my man. That doesn't do shit.
Why does he like have the sort of physical limitations of a human? Like, he blinks. Why does he blink? He doesn't have eyeballs.
And why can't he contact? He has to cut the lights or whatever to alert everyone else. It's like, why can't he just contact them? Why doesn't he have a comms built in?
No,
Yeah.
but he's getting his fucking head slammed against the hull of the ship. Like, can't they hear him? They're inside the ship.
It's also great because Ahsoka was watching into the woods in the direction they came from like a couple of minutes ago, and she didn't see anything. And it's like, let's just go inside. And then right after they go inside, they just appear. It's like, we're here now. It's like, how did you not see them? They couldn't be that far away.
Doesn't the ship have cameras or external sensors that could sense threats approaching? Because, like, I don't know about you guys. If I sort of crash landed on a planet like this where I knew there was enemy forces in the vicinity, I would want like a constant watch on my perimeter, because that's what you would want to do. You'd want to know if someone tries to sneak up and ambush you.
Especially if you just got shot down by the enemy and landed near their base that you know is there because it's like 15 clicks away or whatever the fuck it was.
I just
like, we're just going to go inside and talk about our feelings.
That's what I was about to say. They know they need to get to this base, right? Because that's their best shot at like getting the map and like and stopping Morgan's plan before she can escape the planet, right? So what do? They spend like the next 20 or 30 minutes just getting ready, like putting their clothes on, getting like Sabine's getting all her nice armor on, and then she's looking for the right power cell for her guns, and then they have a little chat about their feelings, like you say. Don't you want to move with a bit more urgency here? Like, time is very much of the essence. And
they have no idea how long it takes to get the coordinates or whatever. It could be done already. In fact, it should be done already.
It should be.
Because you could make this a nice, like, fast-paced, action-packed, tension-filled episode, like a ticking clock. We've got to get there to this base. That's our only shot at stopping them. We have to move fast. Instead, it's just like everyone moves like a fucking glacier.
Yeah,
it's just so
it's funny.
slow.
Once they're ambushed by the idiot droids that could have just shot at them from a distance, but didn't for some reason, then they're like, "All right, let's go." And they just like sort of run off, and you're like, oh okay, yeah, sure, urgency now. And then there's that awkward as fuck shot as though it's a play where they're running, and then they sort of slow down. The camera reveals the two bad guys are right in front of them. I was just like, so they saw them ages away, just kept sort of jogging toward them, like, we're coming, don't worry, we're here for the fight, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then there's a pause, there's movements, there's looks, and then the lady's just like going somewhere.
Yep.
Then they fight.
This is, I guess, this is a question that comes up with a lot of Jedi fights as well. Like, when you have the ability to grab someone and just force throw them into a fucking like wall or something, like, why would you even bother like fighting them with a lightsaber? You can just pick them up and throw them.
It's actually painful.
It happens multiple times.
There's a basic like respect for the audience's intelligence. I think that when we see Anakin fight Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones, I think if someone was to say, like, who do you think should win that? It's like, it's probably Count Dooku. I think he's going to be older, more experienced. I know Anakin is Darth Vader ultimately, but he's not yet, and he's still like a learner. So, and he wins, and you're like, yeah. And he's like, do you think you could take on both Obi-Wan and Anakin? And it's like, maybe, yeah, I guess. And you see that Dooku's very powerful, and he even makes comments about how that's why he's been interested in the dark side as well, access to more power than he's ever imagined. There's a basic like hierarchy where fans would have fun being like, oh, you know what? Mace Windu's the best swordsman out of like all of them, but Yoda's the best Force user, and then the Emperor's the best dark side user, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so who wins out of, I don't know, Crazy Lady and Sabine? And it's like, well, Sabine can't use the Force, and she's shit with a lightsaber compared to someone who's like, you know, a pro. So she should just lose. And she just consistently won't die. Like there's like a million opportunities.
Why
for
won't
the lady
you
to
die?
There's this great thing where she just keeps running after the Sith lady apprentice. I forgot her name already. Again, just keeps shooting, but also running after her, and then she just gets knocked over and loses her helmet. However, the fuck that even happened, but that's a whole nother story.
There is a bizarre, like why would the person with the two guns be chasing down in an almost like an attempt to get right next to them physically the person with a sword? What? That doesn't make any sense. And then like she eventually just lets her catch up and then starts fighting her in close combat. It's like, yeah, I guess that would happen. Like Sabine's not even remotely intelligent, but I think a lot of fans are like, yeah, but Mando versus Sith, isn't that cool? It's like, I guess so. Yeah, that's
She's
enough.
a Mando and a Jedi. It's like, why?
That part where she's trying to use the Force and it's like pathetic, and then she's like, haha, you have no power. And then she's like, oh yeah, well I have blasters. And then the girl's like, oh my god, blasters, I'm running away now, I'm scared. It's like,
no, but like,
why?
No, it's even worse than that, right? Because she shoots the lightsaber out of her hand, so she drops it, and then she's disarmed. And then Sabine's got her dead to rights. She's got the blaster like mounted in her wrist. She just fire it. And then she just stands there, like, watching her. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, there's literally no reason to keep this girl alive. You should definitely kill her. Nothing.
It's not very smart.
This is what I mean. The fight sucked as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
Like the big move from Barak or whatever, where he starts spitting up his lightsaber. I thought it was so fucking funny, and then he just dies. And I was like, okay.
He just poops into a weird toxic cloud or whatever.
This is a goblin gas.
That's like, remember how we were all theorizing, like, oh, maybe it's Ezra, or maybe it's some like Star Killer, or some like exciting character or whatever. And like, I guess someone might find it interesting, but yeah. And then he's just like a green smoke man.
Yeah,
like, he's a little fart and he's dead.
Yeah, just farts into the wind and then just evaporates.
I laughed so hard when that happened. I was like, what is happening?
I just, you know, in the writer's room was Dave Filoni just like, okay, so she kills him, and then we get the reveal of who he actually is. Like, okay, Dave, who's he going to be? I don't know, he's just made of smoke or something, I guess.
A lot of people are saying that it was like a Rian Johnson thing of like, haha, I made you think that you were going to be getting a character, but it turns out you get nothing. It's like, okay,
cool, thank you.
I guess, you know, you can do that if you want, I guess.
I love as well. Like, they really don't know what to do with Hera in this season.
No.
Like, maybe she's going to do more stuff later, but like in this so far, she's just been kind of hanging around ships and like arguing with people, and there's no real understanding of what she's able to do. Because like in her mind, she's got access to everything and nothing's classified from her because she's a general. But at the same time, like, she apparently can't do anything. She can't authorize any missions or deployment of military assets anywhere. And she can't even leave the ship without permission because she tries to take off and, like, help out. And, like, some random dude is like, oh, no, you need clearance to leave. It's like, what is even the point of being a general then if you can't do anything?
And then this random guy we haven't seen before. It's like, well, you figure out if they ask. It's like...
Well, so this was the thing. In the earlier episodes, my whole issue with Hera, and I think I brought it up on Past Open Bars, was that the second that the council say we're not giving you reinforcements, she should be like, very well. And then she walks out of the room very respectfully, and then, you know, speeds up, and it's like, well, what are you doing? And then she's like, if they're not going to help me, then I got to go, because they're going to die, my friends. So I've got to get to them. And then you have that scene where she's walking by like a group of guys who are having some drinks or whatever, and she's like, calls them by name and says, I've got an incredibly important mission. Are you with me? And then they can all, you know, like a camaraderie, like, is this off the books? And she's like, yes, very much off the books. And so they go with it. All of that technically happens in this episode. I was like, where the fuck was this? What took you so long? She was waiting around doing nothing
to happen.
And if she had arrived even 10 minutes earlier, then the whole episode would have been different.
Yep.
But oh well, she took fucking ages for no. And by the way, I know Mary Elizabeth Winstead can act too. What you doing, love? Why are you pretending like you're just a plank of wood? What's going on?
Also, why did she bring her young son along? Into enemy territory where they
Peter
could
Parker
easily get killed? Yeah, that's exactly it. Because
she needs him.
And you know what's fucking incredible is like people still trying to argue against the point I made about Peter being a dumbass, like taking a baby along on an extremely dangerous mission. They're like, oh no, like it's you wouldn't have a problem if the baby was a boy or something. It's like, fuck off. Like, you don't take tiny little children who can't protect themselves or anything. It doesn't matter if they're like the son of Spider-Man or whatever. Yeah. It's like you don't take them into a dangerous environment like that. It's the dumbest thing. It's like horrible parenting.
One of my favorite parts is when the hyperdrive goes through them all, and two ships, you hear screaming from basically everybody, and two ships crash into each other dead. And then it cuts to the kid, and he goes, I have a bad feeling. It's like, yeah,
you're horribly traumatized for life.
The bad things just happen, son.
Yeah,
give us those premonitions before the thing happens.
Those men dying in agony. That was probably a bad thing. Yeah, good perception.
Probably knew those people too.
Dumb writing. Like they obviously have something in mind for that character, and it's just like, well, okay, she just takes him along on a mission. I guess like that's just the kind of mum she is. A terrible one.
How lame is it that if you put those two, like the whatever her race is. I forget the names. Any human,
Twilight.
you just get a boy with green hair. What?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Shouldn't he have like smaller tentacles sticking out of his
Yeah,
head or
something like
whatever?
that.
Also,
yeah,
yeah,
like
like
his
how are-
abomination, but no, it's just green hair.
That would be so funny though. Just like, Bobby.
I don't know. It reminds me of that like episode of The Simpsons. It's one of the Halloween ones, and it's taking the piss out of Harry Potter. And it's like I think Bart tries to conjure like a magical being into existence, and it's this horrible, deformed like goblin thing, like constantly throwing up. Like every moment I live is agony.
Every moment I live is agony.
That's what it needed to be. Oh, yeah. I feel like Rosario Dawson as well. Like I don't know why, but I can't take her seriously in that makeup anymore.
Oh, dude, I was so disappointed with her. I felt like I was being more critical of her this time than the direction, because you know when evil lady Shin pops up, that means to anyone who knew they were fighting, oh shit, so Sabine is dead. So that's a reality that she's supposed to represent in the form of a character being distraught, and she's kind of like, Sabine. And it's just like, yeah, okay. You look like you're annoyed. Could you maybe let me know? Because like it's really important for me to understand what the fuck these two mean to each other anyway. But like it's so hard to tell because she's just not got much range for Ahsoka. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's what she's been told to do.
Well, look, nobody in this fucking show has any range. Like the actress playing Sabine, absolutely disastrous. Like, and I will never understand her thought process here, where it's like, she's got the ball testicle thing with the map in it, and Ahsoka's just been like flung off a cliff by Ray Stevenson, and he's like, "Join me. I promise I won't fuck you over and kill you when I get what I want." And she's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm convinced." It's like you've literally just watched him kill Ahsoka, as far as you know.
Yeah, she's an idiot. But that's fine. That's in line with everything we've seen before. If you remember, she's the reason all of this is happening. She took the map, she stole it, and then she let the bad guys take it from her.
Yeah,
none of this would have happened if not for that. And so again, like the idea of she's going to give him the map and then hopefully get to Ezra because that's all she cares about. It's like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. That scene, by the way, it's so frustrating to think that Sabine should be force wrecked by Shin, the whole scene. But they don't do it. And you're like, fine, I guess we're not doing that. And then they show Ahsoka knock out Shin with the Force. It's like, okay.
Like this. I was like, oh, so it is that easy. That's good to know.
Thanks. Once you open up that world of possibilities, like every fight would be nullified. You could just force pull inside someone's head and crush their brain and just insta kill them.
Yeah.
Like once you've got the ability to do that, okay, like any of this stuff just seems completely redundant now.
I wonder, has there been any instance with the Force where like two Force users fought each other with the Force, but they had like a duel, see who can power each other?
You just see like two people, just like the actors, all they can do is be like, "Argh!"
Yeah, like
it's like one of the
okay. There's something going on.
You guys are saying this like that didn't happen. This is Obi-Wan and Anakin. They do the thing where they're like, don't touch hands. They're like, and then they blow across the room because of it. And then you also have Yoda and Palpatine kind of did that. Oh, this is the thing. That to me is much more buyable than we just go, we're just not going to do that. We're not going to do that this fight. I'm not going to do it.
I had a question as well, right? You know how we talked earlier about the hyperspace giant ring of Sauron, whatever, speeds off and like destroys a bunch of the X-wings that are approaching it, right? So why didn't it like Admiral Holdo them and like they all just obliterated each other because it,
she's the main character.
Right okay, that's fine then.
Oh yeah.
Because are they trying to imply that it's like they were caught in like the wake of it? Like if you're, a big ship passes you by or something, like the water gets churned up and you're like, it's all like, whoa, choppy after it, rather than actually getting hit by it because they passed through the ring.
These 5 dudes, they essentially commit like, a rebellion within the rebellion to go against it. And by the way, this is a serious thing. It should be a serious thing. They have limited resources and they need to make sure they're spent properly. And their general has just taken 5 people to go and get killed. That's a huge deal. I wonder if the episode is actually going to have consequences for Hera when she gets back, because I have a feeling the scene instead will be her saying, I was right, you were wrong, I get promoted. Like, instead of you fucked up huge and you're being demoted, you'll be lucky to fly a fucking ship.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. That's new Star Wars. And yeah, like Hera, the people she takes with her, one of them we recognize, that guy who keeps popping up in the Mandalorian seasons. It's just being mad. I don't know anything about him really. He's just around.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, yeah,
Carson,
the rest of them, no names, and 2 of them get killed, and it's just like, oh well. Like, who gives a fuck?
They just always pretend like this is not a big deal, even though it's like, oh, you probably have been in fights together for a long time, possibly, and you know each other, probably had drinks together, went to each other's weddings, whatever. Then they die, and it's like, I have a bad feeling. It's like, shut the fuck up, kid.
That's what I mean. The implication is they were willing to break away from the Republic for her, and they're dead now.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to mean something, but I don't think it. Like, they're like, the spaceship go boom, makes the audience go woo.
None of it means anything. And honestly, the more this goes on, the more I'm rooting for the Empire. Like, I just want them to come back. Like, they seem way more efficient and better at like, governing than the Republic.
Tell you, dude, they'll bring back Thrawn and he'll be shit too, and everyone's gonna be stupid. The only reason the bad guys are allowed any competence this episode is because they need to win here to lose later.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this thing where they put characters and it's like, oh, the audience don't know them, so we don't need to mention them ever again, even if they die.
No.
It's like, oh, yeah, but that's not how it works. There's going to be consequences. And
Hera should be court-martialed for the fact alone that she brought a kid into a war zone. Fucking asshole.
Absolutely. This is madness. It's just madness.
Who's the audience for this show anyway? Because like as a normie watching it,
Chris Gore,
like yeah, maybe, but like with the
I'm kidding.
Dave Filoni was the audience, I think.
The ratings low, and I don't know, this character to me, I'm not a like huge Star Wars fan, but when I watched Kenobi, because it's directly following like the actual numbered movies, you know, I could recognize when lore was being broken or things didn't make sense. In this show, like I have no idea. I don't know Ahsoka, so like watching it, I'm only getting through it because I'm going to review it, and I'm like, who is this supposed to be for? Because it seems like it's a niche corner of Star Wars, and there's only like 1 million people watching it, and it's not going to draw in new viewers because I like sci-fi, and I wouldn't have watched episode 4 if I wasn't going to review it, because by episode 3 I was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask as well, like, see if you guys can tell me this, right? Aside from Morgan, perhaps, or even her, really, like, what is the motivation of any of the antagonists in this?
Well,
Because
Thrawn is when they find Thrawn,
wins.
they lose. Apparently,
It's like getting your queen back on chess. That's how they see it.
yeah.
Because
This is just Force Awakens plot all over again, isn't it?
well,
You're just like you're finding
Pretty much.
Thrawn, you're finding Luke
yeah,
Skywalker.
find the things,
Yeah, and
keep
it'll
things
fix
going, but
everything.
it's like what when Ray Stevenson was giving his little speech to Ahsoka, it's like, wow, sometimes you have to destroy in order to create.
Oh,
Like, okay, what you try to create? Like, this is just the most generic
Dude,
bad
we
guy
were-
line from any like movie.
we were this close to giving him character. I was so
Yeah.
excited when he started talking. When she arrived and he mentioned Anakin, which by the way I like joked that he would do that because they got nothing else to work with. But I was like, okay, fine. If you're gonna do it, tell me more. How did you know Anakin? How did you know that she did? What was your role back then? I assume you're another fucking idiot that survived Order 66 because why not? And it's like, tell me more. But as you just mentioned, they only ever say generic lines that imply stuff. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
It's because they don't like the writers don't even know. It's just like, right, we're gonna, like you say, give them the most like bland generic line that the audience can interpret any way they want, and they can just fill in the blanks for us because we've got nothing to put in there.
It's
Yeah.
not fair.
Like
Because Ray Stevenson is right there, man.
Thrawn is like this magic button in this series. Like when they find him, the Imperial is just back. It's like, yeah, but why? He's just a guy. He's just a blue
And
guy
again,
that's
it's like
good at war, I think, or something. I don't even know. Does he have like a whole army at the ready, like a whole new empire just lying around? It's like, yeah, just grab those. I'll come with you. Like,
Well, they've done it before, so.
Because
yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm coming at this from the point of view of not having watched Rebels, and so I know
Same.
fuck all about Thrawn. So like I'm just seeing it as like, okay, you're really trying to build this guy up, but like you've not shown us anything of him so far. I don't know any of the details of like what he is, who he is, what he's capable of.
Filoni's like, I think one of his greatest flaws as a writer is he doesn't have any borders between the meta and the actual stories he tells. Like it all bleeds through. Like Ahsoka is what she is because of how much he likes her and how much he wants everyone to like her. And Thrawn, if you had an in-universe explanation for why the hell everyone cares about him so much, it would almost be impossible to do it without mentioning like the fan base. It'd be like, well, there were some stories written about him that people really liked, and so we're bringing him in, and he's allegedly a very intelligent commander that's going to make it so that the Empire can rise again. And you're just like, but in universe, legit, he's a guy.
Yeah,
He's not anything like significantly special beyond a commander that apparently made good decisions. But from what I've heard from many fans, apparently he was completely ruined in Rebels because he was defeated by children.
Well, I mean, he couldn't have made that many good decisions.
He's going to save us all.
Ultimately, yeah. So, but you know, you're missing the point. Like Ahsoka said the thing. She said he's going to be the heir to the Empire. Like, okay, I see what you did there, Dave. Nice one.
Boo. We're going to get him soon enough. And apparently episode 5 is going to be showing in theaters, everybody.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That means
mid-season finale or whatever they call it.
There's got to be cameos, hasn't there? Loads of cameos.
To be fair, MauLer, they were pretty smart children.
Hey, Mutually, have you shared my theory what they're going to do?
Go for it. Because I think you're right as well. It's not much else they can do now, but you said this in what episode, like 2 or 3, maybe?
Yeah, 2 or 3. So you know how there are these star whales or space whales? In that episode, I said, oh, they're gonna actually succeed in doing the hyperdrive travel, but they're not with them, so they have to do some force shenanigans to use those star whales or space whales or whatever to fly after them and go like.
So like tie a bunch of them together and then just ride them.
Yeah, just get a really big rope and just go like, yay.
That is so genius, it's retarded, and I think it's just right for
I know, right?
I want to see them ride them like horses with little cowboy whale hats. Just it just works. Fuck it. Why not?
This is a universe where you've got like people riding space horses down the hull of a Star Destroyer, where people don't know where up
they can't
is.
Just tilt the Star Destroyer.
So this is literally anything can happen now. There's no such thing as too stupid for Disney Star Wars.
No.
And we got 4 episodes left, and just think we had 4, and look how much happened in 4. So don't expect a lot to happen in the last 4.
I honestly feel so tired already. Like, we got 4 more to go.
Well, the pacing of the show doesn't help. When they talk to each other, there's always like a second break in between their sentences. Like, what is happening? Don't you know how people talk to each other?
There was a bit of dialogue between Sabine and Ahsoka, and I'm having to paraphrase slightly here because I don't remember it word for word, but it was to the effect of, do you not think I'm ready for this? I don't know. Are you worried about me? Should I be? No. I kid you not, that's like what they talked about.
I think you may have nailed it as well. Like the pauses are a little longer in the show, of course, because you don't want to bore everyone here.
People might have thought my webcam had frozen up or something. You know, like waiting too long.
It's been like that since episode 1, by the way.
The level of it.
Absolutely painful. You get barely any information. You get it incredibly slowly.
Yeah.
It's this show, man.
So let's talk about that last scene, shall we?
Do we have to?
Yeah, that's what everyone's fucking obsessed with. The world between worlds has been canonized into live action. All right, for whatever that means. Like, this is something that I've never wanted. I've always heard about, but never had to acknowledge. This thing is from the TV show, and from what Theo told us, the way that this worked before was that Ahsoka was going to die. She was about to be killed by Darth Vader. And then Ezra grabbed her from the world between worlds, whatever the place this is, and saves her life by doing so. And everybody's like pissing on it, calling it time travel. And apparently the discussion is whether or not it should count as time travel, because Dave Filoni said, no. everything is happening all at once, you see, and this place allows you to access those places and things.
And if those things happen to be at different time periods, well,
What?
so be
No,
it.
but Dave Filoni said it isn't time travel.
But like,
It's so funny to me. I'm like,
access
I don't
the
care if it's
world-
time travel or not. It's piss. It's terrible. Why the
Yeah,
hell?
it's awful.
You literally invented it to save your OC. Like, to backdoor her out of an action scene that she was going to die in. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. This is where you start getting into more like hard sci-fi stuff, I guess, when it's really like esoteric like this. And this is not what Star Wars is meant to be. It's never meant to have this interdimensional, like multiversal time travel bullshit. Like that's not what you're meant to rely on.
It's weird to think, Drinker, because all of us when watching it, like because we're normies in a sense, we don't watch everything and consume everything to do with Star Wars. I assume the same for you, but assume that Anakin is a Force ghost. And she's talking to him like that, or whatever.
Who even knows?
Well,
Maybe
so from what I'm getting from the
it's a
fans, it's like,
multiverse
well,
Anakin.
no, it's more than likely that it's Anakin from in the middle of Revenge of the Sith, who jumped into this place and dragged her out of being drowned or whatever, and wanted to talk to her. And I was just like, you can't be serious that you're about to say that that's what happened. That in the middle of Revenge of the Sith, he walks into this incredible, crazy space world and decides, I'm going to save Ahsoka from drowning because Ray Stevenson's trying to kill her. What? You can't be serious. Like you stop. Please stop writing.
I don't know. Lines up for me. Makes perfect sense.
Because if it is a ghost, there's still questions. It's like, where have you been, motherfucker? Why have you been talking to other people? Where's Luke? Like he's alive and well. Does he not give a shit?
Because Ahsoka specifically says in this episode as well, the stakes have never been higher. Like this is like galaxy changing stuff that's about to happen. Fucking hell, I would recruit Luke Skywalker. I would just like find every like competent person I could get my hands on and make them aware of how dangerous this was.
No,
I would not trust myself to Sabine Wren,
someone who's a 50-year-old idiot and the son of Hera. That's who we need. That's our Avengers.
If they just believe in themselves, MauLer, they can do anything.
God, I hate it so much.
It's so bad. And
so
I've seen people,
but
we're doing the cycle again. People are like, this is good, though. And it's like, motherfucker, you're not going to say that in a year's time. In a year's fucking time, you're going to be like, man, that Ahsoka show is terrible, huh?
It's going to have a strangled them. It's like, where have you been?
It is unbelievable. This one, like, I hadn't seen this before. When everyone was celebrating the return of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, I was like, where the fuck were you guys last year? Hello? We did this already. It was in Kenobi, and it was awful. And he hasn't even said anything other than snips. It's like, yeah, but that's her nickname, so that's really good.
Which doesn't mean anything to anyone who hasn't seen the show before this.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
God, played like a fiddle again. Like, can you please celebrate it when it has substance, not when it shows you the shiny things?
It's a really interesting insight into like human psychology, though, isn't it? How easily people can be taken in just by like literally a few member berries and some slightly cool looking fight scenes. That's all it takes, and it
really does. It makes you think that if you were in charge of writing the show, that it would be easy to get approval from the fans. Just don't piss and shit everywhere, like I said before. Yeah. And then you'll get like 9 out of 10
though for Disney.
I saw people saying like, "Why the fuck does the episode already have 9.2 on IMDb? It should be 10." I was like, "Oh god, like 9.2."
Yeah, Star Wars is back, baby. It really is. Yeah, Mr. Brown's pointing out here. They've done like a 3-hour mega roast of episode 4 on his channel. So if you take a look, they go into depth about it, way more than we have here. So they will do a very good breakdown. And yeah, I've watched his channel. I've been on it many times and very much enjoyed it. They really go into a lot of detail with this stuff. So you'll get some good breakdowns there. What do you say? Should we do a few of the super chats that have been coming in?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Give me 1 second so I can bring them up. Okay. Right. And so the first one that we've got here is from JS Pena, who says, "Good news, Arcane Season 2. Bad news, it's coming in winter 2024. I can wait if it's good.
Yeah, I was half expecting it to be 2026 that we'd get it. So that's just explicitly good news. As long as it's good. Give me Blitzcrank.
I mean, was the development time for the first season was crazy long, wasn't it? Like they were working on this for a long time to get it right.
Not only have they obviously sped it up, but I assume that the time has been spent now to make sure that they can get them out maybe like 2 years maximum between each one. Because unfortunately, the reality is, as much as we want them to take as long as they need, it's just you don't want to lose your momentum culturally. And everyone at Riot who's funding this whole thing is going to be like, yeah, we want you to be fast. People love this shit.
Yep.
So hopefully they can maintain the quality as well.
Yeah, just don't rush it. Keep it good. Mr. Taco Bouti says that Vulture article on Rotten Tomatoes was brilliant. Yeah, they went into a lot of detail. They could probably have a bit more brevity, but no, it was good. Piston says, just finished in Ahsoka episode 4. It looks like time travel is back again with Anakin showing up in the world between worlds. And if you could time travel in Star Wars, where would you go if you could change one thing?
You open up a portal, you're like, where are you going? And it comes into a room and it's the contracts being signed with George Lucas. You just kill everyone in the room.
I think I would just I would go to the point where Rey meets BB-8, and I would just like push him down a hill or something so she never finds him and never gets involved in any of this stuff.
Gotta kill, I don't even know, kill everyone. Just kill the whole damn universe. Because it's funny, by the way, we hadn't even highlighted the actual problem yet. It's not Dave Filoni and others have said that this is the beginning of introducing the multiverse. That's what the point of this is, a multiverse for Star Wars. Isn't that just the worst fucking news ever?
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
And now, nothing's off the table. It would be like, no deaths will matter anymore. That's how multiverse works. Watch out. Here comes Darth Maul riding a Wampa while he's attacking Darth Vader.
I think... Yeah, if I could do one thing, then it would be to find the person who came up with the concept of multiverses in fiction and just fucking kill them or something, or smother them to death. Because, yeah, this has caused so. I don't even know if I could say the word damage. It's more just like it's encouraged so much laziness amongst writers.
Yeah,
because like you say, like their first thought is like, cool, we can just do anything now. We can write ourselves into whatever corners we want because it doesn't matter. We've got the multiverse to get us out of it. It's so shit. It just takes away all the stakes, all the meaning of everything. You can just undo it at a moment's notice.
And then they implement it and they don't follow their own rules or realize the rules are terrible and everything is just crossing over with each other. And it's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. People are going to watch it anyway. And that's not working anymore, apparently. Yeah. So, yes.
Give us
it's great in Marvel as well because they can't decide which term they want to use, because sometimes dimensions, sometimes multiverses.
Yep, it's a world, it's a universe. Like, who knows? No one cares. No one cares. Tyler Wolf says, "Hey Chris, is anyone from Film Threat attending TIFF 2023? Toronto? Yeah, that's the Toronto International Film Festival. I don't know if people from Film Threat are going to be there. I assume that's one of the only film festivals that will be running at the moment, because the American ones will all be shut down, presumably because of the strikes. So, yeah, I would assume there'll be stuff going on there." Joshua says, "Hail Legends, I've got a hard-hitting question for the ages. What do you think is more impressive, Alexandra Daddario's or Hillary's Duff?" Okay. I'm going to go for Alexandria because, man, oof.
She tends to top charts, you know.
Yeah,
she's a favorite. She has great plots in her films. The writers do excellent jobs.
I was captivated by her eyes
and backstory.
I like eyes and backstory. Yeah.
Black eyes. Joshua said, "Can Rakita and Gundam join a show? They're missed." Yeah, I mean, I always welcome here. I know Gundam he's often like sleeping at really weird times of the day, kind of like you, MauLer. Like,
what?
Just sleeps like mid-afternoon or something.
Don't spread rumors that I sleep.
Well, you don't sleep, you wait.
It's true.
And yeah, for Rikita, like he's just like kind of super busy, and he's often getting pulled into other streams. But yeah, I'd love to have him back on again soon because yeah, last time we caught up was in Houston, and it was damn good. We did a lot of drinking together. LC Le Pen says, nothing made me laugh like seeing IGN rate Netflix's successful One Piece as a 6 versus Cowboy Bebop's 7 for being too faithful to the source material.
I did see that.
Imagine that.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Like,
Such an IGN score.
There goes your journalistic integrity. Lillian Deity says, it's interesting that we live in a world where killer whales value hard work, family, and apprenticeship more than some humans. Okay. Sure. Robo96 says, it's a bit depressing hearing plot details on Toy Story 5. Like Indiana Jones, the trilogy was perfect and ended in a satisfyingly epic, rousing, emotionally impactful way, only to be followed by a belated, affectionless cash grab sequel that tarnished what came before. I agree 100%.
Wait, hang on.
Need Toy Story 4.
They're making the Toy Story 5?
Yes, they are.
Do we know much about it then? Because I don't know.
I don't know anything yet, but
I don't want to know anything. Just don't do it.
Yeah, what can you possibly do with these characters?
Stop it.
Yeah. Jan L says 6'4" with or without tentacles. This is you, MauLer.
They come out of the back in my most typical representation. So yeah, I mean the height is without, but with, whoa, you don't even want to know.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah. But that's cheating, really, because it's like us putting our arms above our heads to make ourselves taller. You know, it's like that's not your height.
Wait, that doesn't count. Damn.
Sorry.
Yeah, we tried that in Germany. We got in trouble.
Got a bad history with that sort of thing. Normie says, seeing Equalizer 3 had me thinking, is Denzel Washington the best actor alive? And if not, who would be? Thoughts from everyone. Equalizer 3 was really good, by the way.
I already know my answer.
I haven't seen the Equalizer movies.
I haven't either. I just purchased the first two so I could go watch the third one, but I have not watched them yet. But Denzel's an amazing actor. I mean,
yeah,
100%.
The trailer definitely made it look pretty good, so yeah, I'll be watching it. I don't need to ask you, MauLer, who's the greatest actor alive.
No, I think the answer is just true. It's him. It's gotta be. Like, he's so fucking goddamn good.
What if I was to say, like, I don't know, Jack Nicholson or Clint Eastwood, or actors like that? You know, they're still
good,
alive,
but they know Anthony Hopkins.
You Welshman.
It's not about the Welsh.
Always sticking
that's pretty
together.
neat.
About the Welsh.
Waylon Bicephus says, my wife said not to pick up the phone during sex, but then I said, well, what if it's you that's calling? Okay. He also says, my wife went into a coma. The doctors said oral sex might wake her up. After about 5 minutes alone with her, I came out and said, Doc, she's choking.
Oh, no.
Always taking it down a dark path. Jordan Pendragon says, my mates and I finished the game Broforce. It's a hyper-masculine run-and-gun side-scroller where you kill terrorists and rescue POWs as Rambo, Bro Cop, Command Bro, and others.
Yeah.
Sounds gorgeous.
It's been out for a long time. I think they're still updating that game, right? It's been out for a while. I played that years ago. It's really fun. It's really funny. There's like all kinds of characters from action movies. It's fun. It's fun stuff.
I like the idea. Marky Mark, this is a question for all of us. Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Ooh.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, same.
The Stallone, you know, he had the dedication, but Arnie had the cool factor. And yeah, there was an air of awesomeness that he had. D Sports says, howdy from South Texas. We got plenty of sweaty balls and chafing for all. Excellent. Lord of the Rings original trilogy is sacred. The only thing that pissed me off about how humans and elves talked to the hobbits as if they're children. Not always, I wouldn't say. I mean,
what was because I guess I missed it. What did they just say about?
So I don't I'll try and rephrase this into something that's more structured. So the Lord of the Rings, the original movie trilogy, is sacred to me. The only thing that pissed me off about how humans and elves talk to the hobbits is that they talk to them as if they're children. So they feel like they're patronizing towards the hobbits.
They can be patronizing and condescending at times, but the problem is that they are child-sized. They can be mistaken for children, and that they're from a place that just doesn't deal with war. So everyone respects the fact that they are in their care. Like, they are supposed to do what they can to protect the hobbits. I think that the elements that you see of that are very much justified. And at the same time, many of the characters come to have great admiration for the work of the hobbits, obviously culminating with Aragorn saying, "No, you bow to no one." So I'd have to heavily disagree with it in the sense of it being any kind of like criticism. I think it's very much justified.
Yeah. Ethan Rackham says, "Can Blofeld work where Dr. Evil is more well known?"
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the question is.
There. So are they saying like if we were to bring back Blofeld in the way that he was, would people start to assume like this is kind of like Dr. Evil, even though Dr. Evil is a parody of Blofeld?
It's possible, actually. You know, when you look at how far back Blofeld goes as a character, like you're talking the 60s.
Especially if they did like another Austin Powers. At that point, I think it's like the TikTok generation will have no clue who Blofeld is.
That's a bit sad, really.
They don't know a lot about it. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like going to that stage of like, well, people wouldn't know who Darth Vader is, or they'd think he was a clone of like Rick Moranis' character from Spaceballs. You know, like that's...
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man. Like, understand where these things come from. Emilio D says, for a sense of the darker themes in Clone Wars, I recommend the Umbara arc, season 4, episodes 7, 8, 9, 10. Follows the clones struggling to fight in jungle environments, reluctantly following orders of ruthless Jedi general, and it shows the horrors of friendly fire. Nice. I mean, I guess there is some really good stuff there. It's just, you know, Clone Wars probably isn't something that appealed to most of the panel here. I don't know if Metal, you've seen it or whatever, but
nope.
Yeah, I don't think MauLer and I have seen it.
I gave it a shot. I couldn't remain with it. It was too...
I just couldn't.
I tried. It was. I'm not trying to be like too mean to it. It's just that it felt like it wasn't for my age. Especially the earlier season. I think a lot of people do concede that the earlier seasons are very much for like kids. Who are, like Jar Jar Binks features a lot in the early episodes, and he's like, "Ooh, blah, 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 you got my bed," and it's just like, yeah, the cartoon rabbit, I guess.
RRTNZ says, Death once had a near Chuck Norris experience. Say, why not do a top 5 Chuck Norris films video, which of course would include Dodgeball. Chuck Norris would approve. Cheers.
That's probably my number 1 Chuck Norris film.
Yeah. Lone Wolf McQuaid. There's a Chuck Norris movie right there. Yeah, it would be quite cool actually to cover. I don't know. There's something really like charming about these like B-list action heroes like Chuck Norris or Steven Seagal or Van Damme. Like they did so many shit movies, but they were also kind of awesome at the same time. I don't know how to describe it. It's so silly. Miner69er says, great to meet you yesterday. Sorry I was starstruck and didn't have much to say other than nonsense, but I have started the script for my first video. Excellent, man. And yeah, I hope you make good progress on that. And yeah, don't worry about it in the slightest. Like I talk nonsense all the time. I just roll with it. It's fine. Waylon Pacificus says, great stream with Dark Hour. Have you seen Yojimbo? That's a good question. I don't think I've seen it all the way through. Definitely at some point I have watched part of it, but yeah, not all of it. I did like the bits that I've seen for sure. M8566 says, who drinks more, Drinker or Gore? That is a tricky one because Frank Gore drank a lot when I was in Houston with him. We weren't keeping track of how much we were both drinking, but yeah, we were pretty fucked up by the end of the night. So I'd say we both put in a good show. Dark Hour says, Never meet your heroes unless they're the drinker. In that case, then make sure you do once in your life, like the fine people at the London meetup. Cheers. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. John Sullivan says, great seeing you last night, and thanks for your advice on my book. Gary also said the most important thing is to do it for you. I'm starting it now. Excellent, man, and best of luck with that book. I hope it works out for you. Flame Gates. There's one for you, Mo. Oh no, a runaway trolley is barreling towards 5 people of color. There's a lever to divert it safely, but the only way to activate it is to shout the N-word. What do you do? That's a real flame problem right there.
Well, you just got to let them die. You couldn't possibly say such a hard word.
They would appreciate your principled stand, you know.
They're all like shouting, say it. You're like, I can't, guys. I can't. For you. I can't.
For you. I'm trying to protect you.
Not Kevin Feige says, do you think, Disney could fix the MCU by killing the Phase 5 Avengers and starting in a new multiverse with known heroes and different actors? Oof. So what, just rebooting it all so you've got a different Thor and a different Iron Man and a different Captain America? No.
You know, if they did that, if they wiped it all slate clean and they announced a bunch of new actors that all seemed like they could kind of fit the roles and they're redoing it, but they're going to change some things, they'd be like, it's going to be shit. The same people making this. That's not the problem. Resetting it is, if you passed it all over to like some of the greatest writers and directors ever, they probably could right the ship, quote unquote. It'd start decanonizing a bunch of horse shit, but it's not like if you passed it over to the greatest creators of all time that they would immediately reset. Even though that would be a good idea. What I'm trying to say is that you can always repair, but like you can always destroy too. So the people who are currently, forcing Marvel's trajectory, it's just like there's going to be nothing that saves it other than cleaning house, basically.
Yeah, I think if you give it to someone to actually fix it, and it's like, hey, can you fix this? You need to watch all the series, all the movies now, and it's going to take so long to just keep track of what has been happening, and then you start seeing like all the broken things, and it's like, what do you mean there's a celestial on Earth just floating around? It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We never mentioned it. It's like, yeah, that's a problem, you idiots. It's like all these things, like time travel, multiverse. What's happening? It's like, oh, you figure it out. It's like, how did you not figure this out? Aren't you talking to each other? It's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Too much. That's too much.
So if you want to fix it as it is right now, that's gonna be a tough cookie.
Anthony Puch says, would you get paid to give your opinion on a movie you weren't otherwise interested in, as long as you could give your honest opinions? Sponsorship? Not really, no, because I don't like this idea of like people paying me to review a film. Like, even if I'm giving an honest opinion, it's like, no, I just want to review the things that I'm interested in. Like, by all means, I'll take recommendations, but I'm not going to take money from people for it. Like, yeah, there's plenty of times people have recommended movies to me that I might not have heard of or might not have been interested in, but it's like, okay, I'll give it a go. And, sometimes I might really enjoy it, in which case, sure, I'd love to talk about it.
And, the motive of the person giving you money, it's like, what are you looking to have happen? Promoting your thing, giving it a good review, or are you just that invested, in my opinion, of this particular thing, which, isn't the greatest spending of your money if you're trying to promote your film, or if it's just, because they said sponsorship, I'm just like, it's hard to picture just some company comes at you like, we'd love your honest opinion on our film, no strings attached, here's a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You're like, really? that's
so
strange.
If I tear out a new one, are you going to be all right with that?
Is there a tracker in this money? I don't.
Yeah.
You just expect them to be like, maybe we'll offer this to you again another time if this works out.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't want to go down that road of feeling like, because you would almost feel like that psychological obligation to them. It's like, oh, like they approached me, they've been super nice to me and stuff, or they given me money. It's like, well, I don't want to like totally trash their product. So like, well, okay, I can't be honest then. So yeah, it would defeat the point of it. So yeah, I wouldn't want to go down that road, unfortunately. Objectively, a cat says, remember when tractor beams were a thing in the Star Wars universe? Yeah, but they never really seemed to like nail down how they worked, because there was a point where like when the Millennium Falcon was going to get caught by a tractor beam when they had to escape from the Death Star.
Well, so that's how they're drawn in at first, and then Obi-Wan powers down the tractor beam so that they can escape without a hitch. And then I'm trying to think of like the next time that's relevant. Arguably, when like in Empire, a couple of times, you'd think they could have used. I guess the Star Destroyers don't have tractor beams; they're as powerful as the Death Stars. I get you. Like it's probably something you don't really want to establish unless you really need it.
Because like I assume they pinched this from Star Trek, because they would have done it from the 60s or whatever, and like tractor beams were quite well established there as like they're a thing. Like these are their limitations. Like these are kind of what they're useful for. Okay, fine, go with that. But like, yeah, Star Wars just kind of name dropped them and then didn't really do much with it. So, Waylon Bicephus says, I hear there is a cool kids club meeting in London. There was, and we did it last night, and it was fun. J.K. Fozo says, could I trouble anyone to finish this line? Hey, O'Connell, looks to me like I've got all the horses.
Hey, Benny. Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river.
His delivery there was amazing. TGV Monster says, guess what movies have been booming? Horror. Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise, and Talk to Me were box office and critical successes. They were cheap to make and used mostly practical effects. Eat it, Disney.
Yep.
Indeed.
All three of those were pretty good too, except Scream 6. Was not a huge fan of that, but Evil Dead Rise was a lot of fun.
I like that. Yeah, it was a little bit more serious than I expected at times.
What do you think of Talk to Me?
Talk to Me. Haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, that's an A24 horror movie, and it's like an all Australian cast. It's actually really good.
Oh wait, what's the premise of it again?
So there's this this group of teenagers that have this hand, and when you touch the hand, it kind of transports the person who's holding the hand to, you know, the other side, so they see ghosts.
Oh, okay.
And the longer you hold the hand, like you let them in, and they'll possess your body for a certain period of time.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different one. I think someone's recommended it to me before, though, in super chats or whatever.
Yeah, definitely good. Yeah, you should check it out.
No, that sounds good. Grant says, when did you first notice problems with Rotten Tomatoes rating system? Probably would have been Last Jedi, I think, because that did that not start locking itself at like 85% or something, like regardless of what people were saying. So
yeah,
and yeah, like ever since then, probably they might have done it with Ghostbusters 2016 as well, and that probably would have been quite far back. And yeah, man, when you start seeing that disparity, especially between the audience score and the critic score, like, okay, something is clearly wrong here if they're disagreeing that much. Derek says, what are some of your favorite cheesy lines from movies? Personally, I love Sylvester Stallone's I can't break the law. I am the law. I use it whenever I get a speeding ticket.
I don't know, when lines. He throws the knife in Predator and then just says, stick around.
Stick around. That one, yeah. His line from Running Man, where he kills Sub-Zero, and he's like, here's Sub-Zero, now Plane Zero. Or, yeah, when he kills Bennett in Commando, and he shoves a fucking steam pipe right through him, and he just goes, let off some steam, Bennett.
I'll see you at the party, Richter.
That's great. David Lamplow says, the best Star Wars content in the last 10 years was actually the Old Republic game trailers. For an MMO game, should check them out. It makes the TV shows look even worse, and most of it was motion captured. Very good. Yeah, just never really been into the Star Wars games, I guess. Yeah, I know other people have. Drive-by commenter says, I've been thinking, for all the critique that we have of poor storytelling, we have grammar and spelling checkers and story planning software, but no apps to help manage story, internal cohesion, and logic. Give it time, AI will be able to do that for you. I guarantee it. They'll be able to keep track of characters, arcs, you know, even like objects and places and stuff that you introduce in your story, and make sure that it's all got a logical follow-through. I think that wouldn't even be that hard to do if it's just a logic checker. So yeah, we will definitely have that before too long. Logan Bissett says, "Hey Drinker, are you going to cover One Piece like you did for Cowboy Bebop? It was the #1 in 86 countries this week. Might break the live-action anime curse." I'm going to watch it, yeah, because I've heard good things about it. So yeah, I'm curious about it. The only thing is, I'm coming at it blind because I've never watched I don't know about the anime or the manga or whatever it's based on. So I would just be watching it for what it is, I suppose. But
I watched the first episode because I watched all the way back when it started. I watched the first couple of seasons. It was pretty accurate from what I can remember. It all felt pretty familiar.
Well, according to IGN, it's too accurate to the lore.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
It's to its detriment. So
6 out of 10.
Yeah. I'll do one more here. Timothy Finch says, "You ever notice how the same people who scream about how important representation is are the same ones who say it doesn't matter whenever you complain?" It's funny that, yeah. Whenever it's like something that they want, it's like, yeah, it's not important. Why do you care so much? It's like, well, you obviously cared enough to lobby for it to happen. So yeah, that's just that's how it works for people like that, I guess. But yeah, I won't ramble on for too much longer because I kind of wanted to keep it shorter tonight, mostly because I was up till pretty late last night, and I'm starting to fade out. It's like that meetup in London was tiring. But yeah, I just want to say to you guys, thanks for coming on tonight. It's been very awesome to have you guys on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you.
Good times.
Appreciate it, man.
Just before I go, if I could just briefly say, the Critical Doggo plush is available for pre-order right now. I talked about it in my last video. So yeah, these are for sale, but all the proceeds from it are going to go to my local Greyhound Rescue Center. So I'll be donating that. But if you're at all interested, the link is in the description for that one. And I know that MauLer has also got his MauLer vinyl plushie or vinyl figure.
Yeah, the vinyl figures, they only have 6 days left now, so grab them while you can. They're about to be gone forever. And that's very awesome of you with the doggo plushie, Drinker. And it was an easy purchase.
Thank you. Well, hopefully we can do a bit of good, and there's a lot of these animals that need a bit of help. So if we can help out in a little bit, that should be all to the good. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight for this, and for the awesome super chats. Your generosity is just it's really humbling. And obviously we had someone talk to us through super chats about problems that he's having. I've got my mods, trying to chat with him, and if possible, I will try and talk to him myself after this. So we'll do what we can for the guy. But otherwise, yeah, I guess we'll finish up there for tonight. And well, I'll just finish up by saying that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Bye.
See you around.